Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Coming to you live to tape, 25 feet below the surface of the earth, here at Chaos Corner for another incredible day on this date, today, October 26th, in pro wrestling history. Now, I'll use a term that all you fans use here in 2023. Today's show is going to be a banger. I have more information than you can imagine. This date in pro wrestling history, there was a lot of history. And now we know nostalgia just ain't what it used to be. So I just want to thank all you fans from the IWC and pro wrestling fans out there, sports entertainment, if you will, for tuning in to Chaos Corner. I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll get right back to you. We're over 900 subscribers now, heading to the 1K. And we're coming up on that 4,000 watch hours, and we will be going live. This premiere will be up in about an hour or two. So stay tuned. As you can see, I'm so excited. I'm fumbling over my words right now. Stumbling, rumbling, fumbling, bumbling. But that's what we do here. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. No PayPal, no Zelle, no Venmo, no Patreon, no paywalls. What you see is what you get. Guardian of Chaos on the YouTube channel. I'm going to bounce off all the other social media platforms. Meet me back here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel, for today, this date, October 26th, in pro wrestling history. All right, fans, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Follow me over on Twitter, aka X, at Big Daddy G.O.C. And the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. On Instagram, it's the Guardian of Chaos. On Facebook, I have 2 accounts. I have 2 because I have so much information to put out there. J Brony, you get it, J Brony, and Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian. Follow those 2 accounts on Facebook and you'll see me, the GOC. Soon, coming live to the Rumble Network, where there's no IWC, so it'll be me to take over Rumble. Follow me on Gitter, Gab, Truth Social, because I do it all for you. Let's give a big shout out and recognition, as we do every day, to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because without him, especially in these trying times in 2023, never any good news, always bad news around the globe, around the world, including here in the United States of America. Stay in faith, not fear. Nothing is guaranteed, not even tomorrow. So if I can say that like I try to do here on every episode to inspire someone, to motivate someone, that's also my mission here, to spread the word. And if he can be for us, then no one could be against us. So sit back, relax, grab a beverage. We're a little later today. Usually I do this early in the morning, mid-morning. But today, on a beautiful day, almost 80 degrees here in the greater New England tri-state northeast area, it's going to be one heck of a week. This weekend I'll be the big 6-0. And Halloween's coming up. And of course, this Saturday night, live, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling presents Thriller in Paradise. You're not going to want to miss that one. I say it all the time. It's going to be an unbelievable stacked card down at the PAPW training facility, the dojo, if you will. And of course, the Paradise 4, the legends of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, will be there. Pretty Paul Roma, Mario Mancini, Paul Perez, and Big Dave Paradise. So don't you dare miss that one. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling on all social media platforms. That is my home base right now, with my over 3 decades as a pro wrestling manager, color commentator, everything from pillar to post, and coast to coast, and border to border. Who took the fucking bumps, which most of you cannot say. Go back and listen to these last bunch of shows, because we're here every day now, and you'll find out a little history, more about me. We have an analytics show coming up very soon for a state of the channel address and updates, doing the analytics like I do. And of course, I've been requested from several fans out there to do a show strictly devoted to my illustrious career. And of course, my over 50 years as a fan, a smark. That's right, a mark like I said it. Don't be offended. Kayfabe, man. And if you don't like the channel, no offense, because I've been cussing a lot lately and I don't have to. And I really don't like to. But if you don't like it, change the fucking channel. Let's jump right into it, fans. We have a lot to going on today. It's a big day on October 26th, this day in pro wrestling history. We're going to start back a long time ago. That's how we're starting off here on Chaos Corner. So sit back, like I said, grab a snack. It's, you know, maybe by the time we go on to premiere with this, it'll be dinner time. Kick back, enjoy a meal. Have a little cerveza mas fina, a little agua, whatever you want. I'm just appreciative that you guys are here for my stress reliever and to hopefully give you a little stress relief and distraction from the fucking insanity of what's going on in this world. Prayers go out to those in Lewiston, Maine. You guys know what I'm talking about if you're paying attention. Situational awareness. All right, here we go. Chaos Corner, live to tape, October 26th, today in pro wrestling history, 1897. That's right, let that sink in. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Just make sure the kids aren't around. October 26th, 1897. You heard that right. Dan McLeod defeats Martin Burns in Chicago to win the American heavyweight title. How about that for history? October 26, 1942. Ed Virag defeats John Grandovich to win the NWA, not the current NWA as we know it, or even the old NWA as we know it. Remember, it's 1942. Ed Virag defeats John Grandovich to win the World Heavyweight title in Wichita, Kansas. October 26, 1959. Don and Luke Fields defeat Don and Al Green for the Mid-Atlantic version of the NWA World Tag Team titles in Birmingham, Alabama. October 26, 1960. Al Hadman defeats John De Silva for the vacant New Zealand heavyweight title in Wellington, New Zealand. For all my Kiwi buddies over there in New Zealand, we know one of the most famous from Auckland, New Zealand, Tony Garea, whose son, Paulie G, owned a bar here in the Constitution State called Paulie G's, where the WWE used to do those brawls in the bar with the acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk and all them. They filmed one right here where the G.O.C. happened to be there. And my 8x10 was hanging up on the wall along with all the WWE superstars. Unfortunately, Paulie G's bar burned down shortly thereafter, as did my 8x10. But go back, I believe it was around 2006 when they were doing all those brawls. They did one at Tim White's tap room up in Rhode Island. And of course, Paulie G's. It's on a SmackDown episode. Unbelievable night. Paulie G, Tony Garea's kid, man. Where were we? We were talking about the Kiwis in New Zealand. Also, if you go to Facebook, Unbelievable Grappler, and has a training dojo over there in New Zealand. Tough Tony Kozina. That's right, Tony Kozina. Follow him on Facebook. Tell him the G.O.C. Big Daddy sent you, and you'll see what New Zealand has going on today with Tony Kozina. Let me not get off track here, because we'll be here for a while. I have like 10 or 11 pages of important information, including local stuff for this area that you fans are really going to enjoy. October 26th, 1962, El Medico 2 defeats Art Thomas in Houston, Texas to win the NWA Texas Heavyweight title. 1963. What a great year 63 was. WWF Heavyweight Champion Bruno Sammartino had a busy day that day, October 26th. He defeated Paul Reinhardt during a matinee bout in Philly, and then that evening he fought Hans Mortimer to a draw in Baltimore, Maryland. How about that? October 26, 1964. Pepper Martin and Luther Lindsay win their second NWA Pacific Northwest Tag Team titles by defeating Pat Patterson and the Hangman. Talk about history. Took me a long time to do my due diligence. That's why I'm a little late today. You have to do your research. You have to put the effort in. That's why this channel is unique, not only for who I am and what I do, but for the information that I put out there and the research that I do that takes hours every day. My motivation, my passion for you, the fans. October 26, 1964, Tough Tony Bourne defeats Killer Carl Cox for the NWA Texas Brass Knuckles title in Fort Worth, Texas, ending Cox's second reign and beginning Tony Bourne his third reign with the NWA Texas Brass Knuckles title. That was a great title for nostalgia back in the day with the Brass Knucks. October 26, 1966, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation World Champion Bruno Sammartino teams up with Antonio Puglisi to defeat Baron Mikel Cicluna and Smasher Sloan in the main event in Brooklyn, New York. October 26, 1968, Mitsu Arakawa and Dr. Moto, a.k.a. Tor Kamata, defeat Wilbur Snyder and Pat O'Connor for the WWA Tag Team titles in Elkhart, Indiana, beginning their second reign, and that's Arakawa and Dr. Moto, a.k.a. Tor Kamata, who I saw in the middle 70s at the New Haven Coliseum. Stan the Man Stasiak was on the same card. Bruno as well. Speaking of Bruno, here we go. October 26, 1970. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation runs in Bangor, Maine at the Auditorium. You know how ironic for the folks and the innocent people and survivors and those who passed away in the last 24 hours in Lewiston, Maine, and the horrible tragedy that's going on up there. And that evil is still on the loose. Stay vigilant, stay aware. Let's get on to some better news. WWF in Bangor, Maine. The Great Zolo defeats Angelo Savoldi. Tony Marino pins Joe Turco. Mike Conrad pins the Black Demon. Chief J. Strongbow defeats Baron Mikel Cicluna. Gorilla Monsoon and Victor Rivera defeat the Worldwide Wrestling Federation International Tag Team Champions, the Mongols, via disqualification. October 26, 1973, Taka Michinoku. That's right, Taka Michinoku is born on this date in history. Konnichiwa, bitches, coming from the G.O.C. Big Daddy San. Let's stay in October 26, 1973. Enrique Vera defeats Angel Blanco, or Angel, or Angel, however you want to see it, Angel Blanco in Mexico City for the Mexican National Heavyweight title. Let's continue on in 1973. October 26th. Worldwide Wrestling Federation in North Attleboro, Massachusetts at the Sports Arena. Then world champion Pedro Morales and Dean Ho, aloha and mahalo, Dean, challenged the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions Mr. Fuji and Professor Toru Tanaka. What a matchup. And just think, they didn't just run the Garden or the big buildings. They came around to high school gyms, local arenas, fairs, like the independents do now, but the big organizations did it back in the day. There's a perfect example of all the champions on a card in North Attleboro, Mass, of all places. October 26, 1973, we're going to stay in 73, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the time machine here at Chaos Corner. Makes me want to watch Back to the Future. I think I'm going to do that after the show. Here's the results in 1973 on this date in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The Golden Boy Arnold Skolin pins Frank Valos. Mike Pappas pins Miguel Feliciano. Manuel Soto goes over on Joe Turco. Andre the Giant and Chief J. Strongbow defeat Blackjack Lanza, and Mike McCord in the best 2 out of 3 falls in 2 straight falls. Andre the Giant. I was just watching a match. It's here on the channel with Andre and Hulk Hogan from the AWA years against the Heenan family, which was world champion for the AWA, Nick Bockwinkel, Big Bad Bobby Duncombe, the Olympic strongman Ken Patera, and Bobby the Weasel Heenan himself. Unbelievable video. Check it out here on the channel. October 26, 1976. Mr. Wrestling 2 defeats Dick Slater, Dirty Dick Slater, to win his 6th NWA Georgia heavyweight title in Columbus, Georgia. We're going to stay in October 26, 1976. The Executioners, that's right, the Executioners of Killer Kowalski and Big John Studd were stripped of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation tag team titles when they had a 3rd Executioner. Can anyone figure out who the 3rd Executioner was? I believe the Executioner started off as Pat O'Connor and Killer Kowalski. And then it was Killer Kowalski and Big John Studd as the Executioners. Can anyone tell me who the 3rd Executioner was here in 76, along with Kowalski and Studd? Bueller? Anyone? McFly? Hello? Anybody home? Nikolai Volkov was the 3rd Executioner. So because of that and letting him participate as the 3rd Executioner in a title defense against Chief Jay Strongbow and Indian Billy White Wolf in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, Chief Jay and Billy would go on to win the titles in a 3-way versus the Executioners and Nikolai Volkov and Tor Kamada. So that's why the Executioners of Studd and Kowalski at that point in 76 were stripped of the titles, the tag team titles, because they used a 3rd Executioner under the hood in one of the tag team defenses, and that was Nikolai Volkov. So they were stripped. So the Indians went on to win anyway in a 3-way as Volkov, a.k.a. the 3rd Executioner at that point, teamed up with Tor Kamada and then the Executioners in a 3-way bout. So Chief Jay and Billy White Wolf went on to defend and to win the WWF tag team titles. And fans, a little bit of history, because he just recently passed away. Billy White Wolf. Does anybody know who Billy White Wolf's other character gimmick was in the world of pro wrestling? Let me say it again. This never gets old. Bueller? Anyone? Billy White Wolf, a.k.a. Sheik Adnan Al-KC. How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Let that marinate. Billy White Wolf, Sheik Adnan Al-KC, one and the same. That's what you get here on Chaos Corner. Back into the time machine. October 26, 1977, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation in Bangor, Maine. Again, fans, I hate to keep dwelling on this, but it's very prevalent, whether it's the wars going on in this world, Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, right here in the own United States, amongst ourselves and all the politicians who have their head up an ass, and their ass, and each other's ass. I don't like to get too political or overly religious here, but it is my fucking channel. Prayers and thoughts to those out in that horrific tragedy the last 24 hours up in Lewiston, Maine. Let's get on to better news. 1977, Bangor, Maine. Vivian St. John and Winona Littleheart defeat Leilani Kai and Kitty Adams in a women's tag team match. Larry Zbyszko defeats the unpredictable Johnny Rods. And if you've ever been down to his gym, Gleason's, it's like the movie Rocky, the original, with the Mick and Rock, Sylvester Stallone in the gym. That's what Gleason's is like down there in Brooklyn. If you get a chance, head out to Gleason's gym. Unbelievable, with an unbelievable legend, Johnny Rods. One half of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions at that point in 1977, Mr. Fuji defeats Dennis Johnson. Chief Jay Strongbow defeats the other half of the World Tag Team Champions at the time, Professor Toru Tanaka. Speaking of bloodline, the Samoan dynasty, Ultimate Oos, the one who started it all. He played one heck of a ukulele as well. The High Paramount Chief, Peter Maivia, defeats the Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion superstar Billy Graham via disqualification on October 26, 1977. What a day, fans. What a day for information here on Chaos Corner. Again, there's no green screen, there's no edit button with the allergies and stuff, the nasal drip. A little cough here on Chaos Corner. Don't go anywhere. We're only 20 minutes in. This show's well worth it today on October 26th. 1978, former WWE, AEW, and Ring of Honor champion Phil Brooks, a.k.a. CM Punk, was born. Now, didn't we just fucking go through this yesterday? Somebody's got their information wrong. October 25th, October 26th. Which is it, Phil? Is it Punk? We're racing for Pink's Punk. Pink's Punk. What movie was that from? A little trivia here today on this date in history. Pink's Punk. What are we racing for? We're racing for Pink's Punk. Get it? Pink slips. Anyone? Anyone? I know I've done it for the third time already. Bueller. Grease with John Travolta, Jeff Conaway, Olivia Newton-John, Pink's Punk when they were racing down there. The two cars, the guy with the crater face and Jeff Conaway. Then makes believe he gets knocked out by the open door and Travolta has to take over. Grease lightning, go grease lightning, burning up the quarter mile. Grease lightning, go grease lightning. No. All right. You guys get it, right? Kayfabe, man. All right, here we go. So again, Punk, whether it's yesterday or today, happy birthday. I sang it to you yesterday. October 26, 1978. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. Here's the results. Dominic DeNucci defeats the unpredictable Johnny Rodz. The aforementioned Tony Gurria beats Baron Mikel Cicluna. SD Special Delivery Jones defeats Tony Russo. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, the Yukon Lumberjacks. How about that for trivia at that point in 78? The Yukon Lumberjacks defeat the High Paramount Chief, Peter Maivia, and Chief Jay Strongbow. After Peter Maivia turns on Strongbow. Talk about history. Who knew? I remember it like yesterday. On that same card, October 26, 1978, the big man, Crusher Blackwell, pins Larry Zbyszko. And Ivan Koloff defeats Dino Bravo via countout. Back into the time machine. October 26, 1979, Chavo Guerrero Sr. and Al Madril defeat Bad News Alan Coage, a.k.a. Bad News Brown, a legit badass, and Victor Rivera for the NWA America's Tag Team titles. Let's stay in October 26, 1979. Sweet Brown Sugar defeats the Big Cat Ernie Ladd to win the Florida version of the NWA Southern Heavyweight title in Lafayette, Louisiana. We'll stay in 1979, October 26th. Wildfire Tommy Rich defeats Killer Carl Cox for the NWA Georgia Heavyweight title in Atlanta, GA. Don't make me sing Bad Street by the Freebirds. Bad Street, Atlanta, GA. Bad Street in the whole USA. Bad Street, nasty and hot. You guys get it. The further down the street or the block, the worse it got. Too much today? I only had 1 cup of coffee. I did have a great workout at the gym, though. I did a nice high-protein omelet. So I'm feeling pretty good. Coming up on 60. Give me some slack, man. All right, let's stay in 1979 here in a time machine, October 26th. The Worldwide Wrestling Federation in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Civic Arena. Here's the partial results from that card. Dominic DeNucci pins Jim Grabmeyer. Larry Zbyszko beats Rocky Tamayo via submission with a simple abdominal stretch. You'd never see that shit happening in 2023. Now listen, I know last night was a great night on AEW. Ric Flair was back with the Stinger, Magic, Adam Copeland, a.k.a. Edge, with Kenny Omega or whoever was in his face. Sting was in his face, and then Omega challenging MJF, and then Samoa Joe coming out of nowhere to be a rent-a-friend for MJF, but wants a title shot. The unbelievable heel promo with Christian Cage and Sting and Darby Allin and Ric Flair. One heck of a night last night in AEW, talking about the current 2023 product. So here we go. I already said Zbyszko defeats Tamayo by the abdominal stretch. Hussein Arab, who went on to be the future the Iron Sheik, defeats and pins Johnny DeFazio, if my notes are correct here. Now, all three Valiant brothers were on this card that night in 1979. In the middle and late 70s, the Valiant brothers were one of my favorite tag teams. Had a chance to see them live many, many times. Even had the T-shirts made up of the Valiant brothers when they were the Worldwide Wrestling Federation tag team champions back then in the 70s. When I was, barely in my teens. Gentleman Jerry Valiant goes over on Chief Jay Strongbow via countout. Luscious Johnny Valiant and Ted DiBiase grapple to a 20-minute draw. Bruno Sammartino defeats Raw Bone Swede Hansen. And then World Wrestling Federation champion Bob Backlund, who I've had a chance to interview on Chaos Corner, live in the ring at the Hercules Hernandez Memorial Tournament for Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling back in 2020. It's right here on the channel. Check it out. Bob Backlund pins Handsome Jimmy Valiant. October 26, 1979. Let's hop into the time machine. We're halfway home. It's going to be a great show. This show is lit. October 26, 1980. Dusty Rhodes defeats Bobby Jaggers for the Florida State Heavyweight title in Fort Lauderdale. Why the significance here in 1980? It was Dusty's 10th and final reign as the Florida State Heavyweight Champion. That's October 26, 1980. Let's stay in October 26, 1980. The World Wrestling Federation in New Milford, Connecticut. On that card, in the Nutmeg State, the Constitution State, if you will, in the shadows of Titan Towers, Jose Estrada and Steve King wrestle to a draw. Speaking of draws, quick draw Rick McGraw defeats the unpredictable Johnny Rodz. Do you remember when Johnny Rodz and Jose Estrada were tag team? They were quite the duo with veteran legends, badasses back in the day, Estrada and Johnny Rodz. Rick Martel defeats the Hangman. World Wrestling Federation champion at the time, Bob Backlund defeats Rene Goulet. And former World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, the Latin sensation, Pedro Morales, a Triple Crown winner in the WWF, defeats one half of the World Wrestling Federation tag team champions at that point, Afa of the Wild Samoans. Talk about the Ultimate Oos. Talk about the Samoan dynasty, as I said, to the High Paramount Chief. Does it get better than that in the bloodline? The High Paramount Chief, Peter Maivia, Afa, Sika, onto Big Sam Samu, Jr., a.k.a. Rikishi, Rodney, a.k.a. Yokozuna, L.A. Smooth, Rosie, Jamal, Ekmo, whatever you want to call Umaga. The list goes on and on. Down to the new generation of Jacob, Lance, the Usos. And I know there's a bunch I've missed. Unbelievable, including Cousin Joe. Roman Reigns. think about the legend of the Samoan dynasty, Tonga Kid, all the way back to the 80s when he was a teenager. That's how I first came in contact with the Samoans, and what they've done personally for my career over the years could never be repaid. Can't thank you guys enough. Honorary Oos, honorary bloodline, right here. You're looking at it, and I know that you're watching. Just know that I know, and you know that you're watching. I know. Let's stay in the time machine, October 26, 1980. Dutch Mantel, Dirty Dutch, his podcast is unbelievable, one of my favorites, defeats the Dream Machine for the AWA Southern Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee. This date in history, October 26th, 1981. I stand to be corrected, not 1980, 1981. But you know what Bully Ray said to me back in 06 and 07 when we were trying to steal the NWA tag team titles in a series of tables matches. And if you know me and you know my brand and you know who I am and my history, that's right. I say it in a lot of these episodes. Give the Guardian of Chaos Big Daddy 5 spots and he'll fuck up for him. I consider that to be a fucking compliment. How about you, man? Leave a comment. Busted Open Radio. He's still active today, Bully. He's got a school and pro wrestling dojo in Danbury, Connecticut. In the shadows of Titan Towers. A true legend, Bully Ray. So I'll take that as a compliment. Whenever I screw up, I refer to that. Let's stay in October 26, 1981. The World Wrestling Federation at Fort Dix, New Jersey at the Sports Arena. Big salute to all our men and women in the military. We need you now more than ever. Let's hope everybody's prepared. Prayers out to the military. I hear silence. El Silencio here at Chaos Corner? Who knew?
Deliciously delectable delectables. My cats love
Alexa,
delectable.
Play Tropical Thunderstorms, will you please? Every
Playing
show this
specific
happens.
songs is only
I don't
available
like her.
with Amazon Music
You know that,
Unlimited.
right? I'm not crazy
Here's a
about
station
Alexa.
based on a majestic tropical thunderstorm by Music for Deep Sleep.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. This is what happens when you're live and you make it personal. This is entertainment. It happens every episode. And that's okay. Fort Dix, salute to the military. 1981, in the time machine here at Chaos Corner. Davey O'Hannon goes over on Baron Mikel Cicluna via disqualification. Bulldog Brower defeats Jerry Johnson. World Wrestling Federation Tag Champions Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito defeat Dominic Danucci and Special Delivery Jones. Tony Gurria and Rick Martel defeat the Executioner and Larry Sharp. Luscious Larry Sharp, creator and former owner of the Monster Factory. What an unbelievable training facility in New Jersey. Go out and do your research on Larry Sharp and the Monster Factory. Pedro Morales fought the WWF Intercontinental Champion, the magnificent one, the original Rock, Don Morocco, to a double countout. October 26, 1981 at Fort Dix, the World Wrestling Federation. Let's stay in 1981, here in the shadows of Titan Towers, the World Wrestling Federation in Enfield, Connecticut. Johnny Rods goes over on Tough Tony Altamore, the Stanford Stomper. He had an incredible school here, the Quest facility, the legendary Quest facility, right here in the shadows of Titan Towers, with the likes of Mario Mancini, Big Steve Tracy, Paul Roma, myself, a lot of people, legends, Dave Barbie, AJ Petrucci, Seth Cohen, goes on with the people that were unbelievable grapplers that were trained down there at the Quest facility, a lot of them by Mario Mancini, who at the time was the youngest grappler in the WWF at 17 years old, 18 years old. The owner of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, my home company. One of the guys who started me off on my career, although briefly after he kicked my ass from pillar to post and coast to coast. You guys know the saying. So the WWF in Enfield, Connecticut, 1981. At that point, I believe I was at an Institute of Higher Learning. In college, who knew? A college-educated man who ended up behind the walls for 25 fucking years. Johnny Rods over Tough Tony Altamore, as I just said. Hans Schroeder and Jose Estrada fought to a double disqualification on that night. Greg the Hammer Valentine went over on Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. He wasn't Mr. Perfect then. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, and S.D. Jones defeat Angelo King Kong Mosca and Killer Khan via disqualification. 1981, Enfield, Connecticut. Who knew? Let's continue here. Let's jump into the time machine. October 26, 1982. Chief J. Strongbow and Jules Strongbow defeat Mr. Fuji and Mr. Saito for the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team titles in Hamburg, Pennsylvania at the old legendary Field House in Hamburg, which I think they're taken down in 2023 or 2024. Unbelievable, the history in Hamburg. Ending, at that point, the Strongbows ended Fuji and Saito's second reign as tag team champions and began their second reign as tag team champions. Who else has information like this? Let's stay in October 26, 1982. Harley Race, handsome Harley Race, legit badass. What an unbelievable guy. Used to talk to Harley and pick his brain when he was running MLW out in Kansas City. Unbelievable. And one of my partners there, Jackmaster John Diamond, went out to Harley Race's World Legion Wrestling and was actually able to train with Harley Race for history and tidbits of information from the G.O.C. Harley Race defeats the Giant Baba for the PWF heavyweight title in Obakiro, Japan, ending Baba's second reign. This date in history, October 26, 1982. Back into the time machine we go. October 26, 1983. The Junkyard Dog defeats Butch Reed for the Mid-South North American heavyweight title in Shreveport, Louisiana, ending Butch Reed's third title reign and beginning the JYD's fourth reign as the Mid-South North American heavyweight title champion. Let's stay in 1983, October 26th. NWA World Champion Harley Race fought Jumbo Tsuruta to a draw an All Japan Pro Wrestling event in Morioka, Japan. Konnichiwa, once again. Let's continue on October 26, 1983. Jim Crockett Promotions in Winston-Salem for a TV taping at the Memorial Coliseum. The legendary tag team, The Assassins, defeat Steve Muslin and Tim Gerard. Mark Youngblood and Rufus R. Jones, who was the Mid-Atlantic champion at the time, defeat Billy Howard and Gary Royal. NWA TV champion, The Great Kabuki, defeats Keith Larson. Kevin Sullivan went over on Tim Gerard. Bob Orton Jr. pins Rick McCord. The NWA TV champion, aforementioned, The Great Kabuki, defeats Keith Larson. No, wait a minute. The NWA TV champion, The Great Kabuki, went over on Steve Muslin. Earlier that night, he defeated Keith Larson. Remember, these are TV tapings from Jim Crockett Promotions when the product really was taking a hit as it went on, doing these TV tapings, not necessarily in 1983, but you guys know the history. The Assassins fought Charlie Brown and Bugsy McGraw to a double disqualification. Chavo Guerrero defeats Gary Royal. Ric Flair teams up with Roddy Piper and Wahoo McDaniel as they fought Dory Funk Jr., Bob Orton Jr., and Dirty Dick Slater. How about that for a six-man tag team match? Flair, Piper, and Wahoo? Holy moly. And then Wahoo McDaniel and Chavo Guerrero defeat Kelly Kiniski and Tom Lintz. Now, I know you heard a lot of the same names and a lot of jobbers. Remember, this was a TV taping for Jim Crockett Promotions. I believe I got all the matches for that TV taping. Let's go back into the time machine, October 26, 1989. No, wait. October 26, my notes. October 26, 1984, Jim Crockett Promotions at the Charleston, South Carolina County Hall. Gene Ligon over Dave Deaton. Mike Davis defeats Joel Deaton. The tag team of American Starship defeat the Zambui Express. the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions, and the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion, the Outlaw Ron Bass and Black Bart, defeat Brian Adias and Keith Larson. The NWA United States Champion, Wahoo McDaniel, fought NWA Tag Team Champion, at least one half, the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, to a double disqualification. October 26, 1985, Jim Crockett Promotions in Cleveland, Ohio. Magnum TA, a.k.a. Terry Allen, defeats NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, via disqualification. October 26, 1986, Hollywood John Tatum and Jack Victory defeat the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers, to win the UWF Tag Team titles in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's fast forward a decade. October 26, 1996. Jim Crockett Promotions at the Omni in Atlanta. Ravishing Rick Rude defeats Nelson Royal. Tully Blanchard goes over on Rocky Kernoodle. NWA Mid-Atlantic Champion Ronnie Garvin defeats Shaska Pez Watley. The Raging Bull Manny Fernandez goes over on Hector Guerrero. Brad Armstrong and Tim Horner defeat the U.S. Tag Team Champions of Ivan Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev, a.k.a. Barry Darso, a.k.a. The Reaper, the Repo Man, a.k.a. Demolition. How about that? Wahoo McDaniel and the NWA World Tag Team Champions at that point, Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express, defeat Big Bubba Rogers and the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. Now, the Express at this point in 1996, not 86, 96, was Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey. Now, I don't know about you when it comes to the Midnight Express. Who do you consider the better, or who you liked, or who was more impressive? Was it the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey, or the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane? You make the call. Leave a comment. Again, Big Bubba and the Midnight Express lose to Wahoo and the Rock and Roll Express via disqualification on that night. NWA TV Champion, the American Dream, the Midnight Rider, Dusty Rhodes, and the NWA United States Champion, Shatoa, Nikita Koloff, defeat Ole and Arn Anderson, the legendary Minnesota Wrecking Crew, or at least parts of it. The NWA World Champion Ric Flair defeats the dastardly Dick Murdoch. This date in history, October 26th, 1996, at the Omni in Atlanta. One heck of a venue. Let's continue on, fans. Again, I hope you're entertained. This is longer than usual. What we're probably coming up will be almost an hour on this date in history. There was a lot of stuff going on October 26th, 1987. The AWA in Memphis, Tennessee. Jerry the King Lawler and superstar Bill Dundee win their second AWA World Tag Team titles over Hector Guerrero and Dr. D, David Schultz. You know my history with Schultz. Was a bounty hunter for him years ago. The Midnight Rockers, what a ripoff of the Rock and Roll Express. Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels defeat the RPMs. The RPMs? Anyone? Mike Davis and Tommy Lane for the AWA Southern Tag Team titles, ending the RPM's fifth title reign. October 26, 1987. Tom Pritchard ends Tony Anthony's, the Dirty White Boys, third NWA Alabama heavyweight title reign in Birmingham, Alabama. And fans, we have to go back because I believe I fucked up here. That Jim Crockett Promotions, and I was correct on this, that Jim Crockett Promotions at the Omni in Atlanta, when I went from 1986, I said 1996. Again, refer to the Bully Ray comment about me when we have so many notes on this date in history. It was 1986, October 26, 1986, Jim Crockett Promotions at the Omni in Atlanta with all those great matches. So let me correct myself there, all chicanery aside, man. Back to October 26, 1987. I already said Dr. Tom Pritchard defeats the Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony. We already said that for the NWA Alabama heavyweight title. October 26, 1987. Now that we're right back in perhaps one of the greatest decades of all time, next to the 70s. 60s weren't bad either. Jim Crockett Promotions in Greenville, South Carolina. Kendall Windham and the Italian Stallion defeat the Mod Squad. Mike Rotunda and the Russian Bear Ivan Koloff grapple to a draw. The NWA United States Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, defeat the New Breed. Anyone? The New Breed? Chris Champion and Sean Royal. The UWF Western States Champion Barry Windham defeats Arn Anderson. Who knew they'd be in the Four Horsemen together? The Rock and Roll Express, Ricky and Robert, defeat Ric Flair and the NWA United States Champion Lex Luger. How about that? Back into the time machine. We're all over the space here in the time machine in Chaos Corner. October 26, 1988, Jim Crockett Promotions in Greenwood, Mississippi. The NWA World Tag Team Champions, the Midnight Express, again with Jim Cornette, with Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane, defeat Animal and Hawk, the Road Warriors. Oh, what a rush. Via disqualification. October 26, 1990, WCW in Richmond, Virginia. Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong defeat the Midnight Express of Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. Brad Armstrong goes over Dirty Dutch Mantel. Terry Taylor defeats the Iron Sheik. The NWA United States Tag Team Champions, Scott and Rick Steiner, go over on Sobs and Nags, the Nasty Boys. We continue on that same card in 1990, October 26th for WCW. The NWA World Tag Team Champions, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed, collectively known as Doom, fought Ric Flair and NWA TV champion Arn Anderson to a double countout. Also on that card in 1990, the NWA World Champion at that time, Sting, defeats the Wild Man from Borger, Texas, Stan Hansen, via disqualification. October 26, 1993, at this point, it's no longer the NWA or Jim Crockett Promotions. Here in 1993, it's WCW in Cardiff, Wales. Stunning Steve Austin and the loose cannon Brian Pillman defeat Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio. Ricky Steamboat goes over on Max Payne. WCW World Tag Team Champions, the Nasty Boys, beat Arn Anderson and Johnny B. Bad, a.k.a. Mark Miro. The Nature Boy Ric Flair defeats the WCW TV Champion Lord Steven Regal, but it was a non-title bout. Sting and WCW United States Champion Dustin Rhodes defeat WCW International Champion Rick Rude and Sid Vicious. Davey Boy Smith defeats WCW World Champion at that time, Vader, via disqualification. Here's another one, fans, on a personal note, local note, indie note, still the NWA. October 26th, 2002, whatever you want to call it, the NWA 54th anniversary show in Corpus Christi, Texas. Here's the results from that night. JC North goes over on Brother Love. Ryan Pisiak over Damon Briggs in a hair versus hair match. The East Coast Connection defeated Ricky Murdoch and Magnum. The NWA Canadian Heavyweight Champion Spider goes over on Paul Tracy. The NWA Jersey Heavyweight Champion Biggie Biggs defeats Preston Quinn. The NWA New England Junior Heavyweight Champion, my old buddy Jason Rumble, defeats NWA Tri-States Junior Heavyweight Champion Rocky Reynolds. The NWA Texas Heavyweight Champion Steve DeMarco defeats J.P. Black in a Texas death match. Actually in Texas. The NWA United Kingdom champion Johnny Moss defeats Danny Garnell on the NWA 54th anniversary show, October 26th, 2002. Stand by, I still have more from that show. NWA 54th anniversary continued. Again, I just said it, October 26th, 2002. Shar Star defeats Madison to win the NWA World Women's title. Jorge Estrada defeats Paul Atlas to win the NWA North American title. Conan defeats the NWA Midwest champion Danny Dominion in a non-title bout. The NWA World Tag Team Champions Chris Harris and James Storm defeat AJ Styles and Rocky Reynolds. The NWA World Heavyweight Champion at the time, Ron the Truth Killings, defeats NWA National Champion Hot Stuff Hernandez. But only Ron Killings' World Heavyweight Championship was on the line that night at the 54th anniversary show. What a packed show that was. Let's stay in October 26, 2002, 2002. CM Punk, a.k.a. Phil Brooks, defeats M-Dog 20 to win the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight title for the third time for Punk in Clarksville, Indiana. Here's an interesting story, fans. We're not even at an hour yet, and I'm saving some of the best for last. So hold on to that. Hold on to that fact. Let's go back into the time machine. We're going to go back to go forward, back to the future. October 26, 1995, Smoky Mountain Wrestling in Morgantown, North Carolina at the Rec Center. And this is to my point on this show. Whether it's in 50 people, 500 people, 5,000 or 50,000, the show must go on, and you still perform for your experience and for the people that are there to give them their money's worth because you're a professional. Only 75 fans at Smoky Mountain Wrestling, October 26th, 1995. Robert Gibson goes over on the Punisher via disqualification. The Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony, and Tracy Smothers defeat the Headbangers. Brad Armstrong goes over on Smoky Mountain Wrestling heavyweight champion Bam Bam Terry Gordy by disqualification. Buddy Landell defeats Tommy Rich via countout. So how about that? 1995, October 26th, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, one of the best independents run by Jim Cornette in the history of the business. Only 75 fans. October 26, 1996, ECW high incident from the ECW arena in Philly. Hack Myers, Bubba Ray Dudley, and Davey Morton in a six-man tag team match defeat JT Smith, Axel Rotten, and Devon Dudley. Dudley against Dudley. How about that? October 26, 1996. Mikey Whipwreck pins Johnny Smith. Taz taps out Little Guido. Chris Candido pins Spike Dudley in Candido's return to the ECW. ECW television champion Shane Douglas pins Cody Michaels. ECW World Heavyweight Champion The Sandman pins Too Cold Scorpio. Perry Saturn and John Cronus, a.k.a. the Eliminators, defeat Dr. Death Steve Williams and Bam Bam Terry Gordy. Now Saturn pins Gordy after delivering an elbow drop off a scaffold. Both Saturn and Gordy were stretchered out of the arena. Sabu, the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, teams up with Rob Van Dam the whole fucking show. Sabu and RVD, the legendary ECW tag team. RVD still competing today in AEW, just teamed up with Hook, Taz's son. Talk about tradition, talk about generational. But let's stick back to 1996. Sabu and RVD defeat the unbelievable team of Doug Furness and Phil LaFon. Let that sink in. And then, of course, true legend, still active to this day, co-host also on Busted Open Radio, who happened to cane my big fat ass in a match with myself and Ron Zombie. Tommy Dreamer defeats Brian Lee in a scaffold match. And don't think I forgot about you, Brian Lee. When I was with the giant Jacob, 7 foot, and you hit me over the head with that fucking clipboard. I still have the scars, primetime Brian Lee. Fake Undertaker, whatever you want to call yourself. Don't think I forgot. I know you're watching. Stand by, fans. Stand by. Don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. I'm going to save the best for last. Don't go anywhere. Back into the time machine. October 26th, and I got my dates right this time. October 26th, 2011. Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, former Four Horseman, Barry Windham, at 50 years old, was hospitalized in the ICU in Florida following a heart attack. Thankfully, Barry would recover, and he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, I believe in the class of 2012. God bless Barry Windham. October 26th, 2013. Ring of Honor Glory of Honor 12 in Chicago Ridge, Illinois. Silas Young defeats Mark Briscoe, although Silas Young had his foot on the ropes for the pin. So Silas Young defeats Mark Briscoe. Ring of Honor Glory of Honor 12, October 26, 2013. Rest in peace, them boys, Jay Briscoe. Also on that same card, Jimmy Jacobs pins Cowboy Shit, Hangnail, Hangman, Snake Plissken with the eye patch, whatever you want to call him, current AEW star Adam Page. Also on that card, Mike Bennett pins Kevin Steen. Wait, Kevin Steen? I know you guys know. Kevin Owens. Mike Bennett that night, who's currently now with Roddy Strong and Taven and that whole storyline with Adam Cole and MJF in the wheelchair, screaming Roderick Strong. Mike Bennett that night was with Maria Varone. You know who she is, a.k.a. Maria Vachon, Maria Varone. What a beautiful lady. WWE star, Victoria. Just had a chance to meet her at the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame this past summer. Pictures are up on the community page on my channel. Got to hang out with her and talk to her. What a great lady at FanFest 7 as well, FanFest 8. Joe Bruin's New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Unbelievable. So Mike Bennett on that card pinned Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen. October 26, 2013. And my final statement to wrap it up, as we're coming up on almost an hour because I had so much information. It was just truly incredible, an incredible show today. And this goes to show you about the state and the area and the blue wave that we live in and called the Greater New England Tri-State Northeast Area shithole. No offense, man. It's a word, kayfabe. Let this sink in as far as politics and censorship and what the world has come to now with big tech and all the chicanery involved around the WWE and Vince McMahon. And I happen to agree with this point in this statement. October 26th, 2010. October 26th, 2010. Statement from Stamford, Connecticut. And then we'll wrap it up here, fans. Thanks for staying with me. The WWE and Vince McMahon issued the following statement. Connecticut Secretary of State being sued by the WWE for censorship and discrimination. Now pay attention on current day and what's going on social media and in the world. And all the politics and bullshit. This is pertinent. This is why I saved this for last. And I quote, on behalf of myself, my company, the WWE fans, and any Connecticut citizen who wants to exercise their constitutional right to vote, I have filed a lawsuit today asserting that Susan Bysowitz's directive, and she's still in power in Connecticut. Susan Bysowicz's directive that allows poll workers to refuse registered voters wearing WWE merchandise the right to vote is a flagrant act of censorship and discrimination. Quote, Vince McMahon, Chairman and CEO of WWE, October 26, 2010. To my point of current day and censorship, and whether you wear something, I don't care what it is, the U.S. flag, Israel, Palestine, Islam, Muslim, Catholic, Christian, whatever the heck it is. MAGA, as people say, which is really just make America great again. I don't see what the big deal is. You want to associate it with Trump. That's on you. I don't want to get into all this, but that's why I left this for the end of the show. And what's going on, and see how far it's come. 13 years ago, and they were pulling this shit. You can't do this, you can't say that, you can't vote this way, you can't wear that. Impeding on your, not only your Second Amendment, your First Amendment, your constitutional rights, your right to vote, everything. Freedom of speech, so on and so forth. You see how long this has been going on. At least 2 decades, over 2 decades. And this is a perfect example of it. Even in something that's called World Wrestling Entertainment, that you fans think is scripted, choreographed, faked, get in the ring. It may be predetermined, but the physicality is fucking real. So I want to end off this edition of This Date in History, Today in Pro Wrestling History, October 26th, with that note and reality of what's going on in this world. I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Come on back. Stay here. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't you dare miss it.